I'm Tyler. I'm a second year medical student at the Chicago Medical School at Rosalind Franklin in Chicago. I graduated from the MMI program in 2023. And so during that time, I did apply to medical school while I was completing my master's. So I took my MCAT in my third year of college. I took this whole summer between my third and fourth year. Basically set Monday to Friday. Told myself I would start at 8:30 and I finished around 5, 6 p.m. Maybe take a lunch break. And so in total, I studied for about 2.5, 3 months. And then I stopped about a week before I took my exam. And then during those 2.5 to 3 months, I would take an exam, a practice test. It was something I mentioned, like, oh, I'm doing this master's degree at Hopkins. It does help. I did have a lot of conversations about it during my interviews, but I think like it's all part of that story, right? Kind of putting it into the context of like who you are. It wasn't like all I talked about. But yeah, for me, when I was talking about my master's experience, it really was just kind of um, like talking about why I did it, why I still loved it, why that kind of motivated me to go to medical school. The classes at Hopkins certainly are difficult. Honestly, I'm really glad um, that Hopkins kind of pushed me in that area. But I would say that the rigor that you find in classes from MHS, I would say carry over decently well. So I applied to about 34 schools. It's a lot of schools. Um, I got interviews at three, which was LA, SD, and then Chicago. And then I got into one. So it really kind of is also a numbers game. I know different schools kind of do it differently, but for San Diego, it's a one-on-one interview, and you just kind of talk to them for about 20 minutes. It was just kind of like conversations, where they just kind of ask you questions about yourself. It was a little nerve-wracking. I think at the end of the day, if you can get their interview, they're really just trying to figure out like what kind of person are you, and if you kind of fit in with what they're kind of looking for in their class. I think consistency is one, being as consistent as possible with your schedule, and then kind of setting expectations for yourself, like goals, not only goals for like covering material, but also goals in like, exam performance. Like, it's okay to not do quite as well as you would want. You have to give yourself a little bit some grace in that because sometimes some weeks are harder than others. For me, like being able to go out and do something besides school is one of the ways that I just kind of like decompress. And then another thing with the consistency is also kind of having like you gotta set that cutoff or boundary for yourself as well. Because if you're overstepping and pushing yourself too hard all the time, you're gonna burn out. Like that's just inevitable. You don't get to medical school by slacking, right? It's just so many different kinds of like overachievers. It kind of pushes you into an unhealthy mindset. You gotta like I think it's important to just step back and kind of keep perspective of like, how did I get here? Why am I here? I think it's so easy to lose perspective on why you even get to school in the first place. I make fun of how I don't go outside, but I mean, I do every once in probably not as much as I used to, but I definitely go outside. I do touch grass. Um, Maybe instead of like 5 times a week, I do it like 2, 3 times a week. So it's still good though. So one thing I do like about doing all the classes first and then I guess doing your rotation second, for one, is that you get to kind of see all the material first before you get into your clinicals. If I go through all the classes and I go through all the material, I take step one, at least I know I'm prepared for whatever questions or I should be prepared for whatever questions that they ask me when I'm on rotations. But I would say that the way that classes are organized does help you kind of prepare you for step one and clinicals. And then another thing that I would mention is that during your 2 years, you're not completely isolated from clinicals. You just do shorter ones. So step one, I definitely dedicate a lot more time than I typically do for school. Part of it is just because of the sheer breadth of information that you need to know for step one. You're really for like you're just covering everything that you've studied. So dermatology, musculoskeletal, cardio, endocrine, OB-GYN, like it's everything. And so um right now, I probably it's similar to my I guess my MCAT schedule. I start at around 8:30 and but now I finish around closer to probably about 7 and then I'll take a break to eat dinner and then I'll keep studying after that. Despite all the craziness of studying and I do like school. I think I miss the clinic a lot, and so that's something I'm really looking forward to going into my third year and just being at the hospital all the time
Mhm.
is something that I'm really looking forward to. And seeing the the applications of everything that I learn is crazy, but it's also super cool. I'm a nerd though. I really do enjoy kind of learning school and everything that the school has kind of been for me. Yeah.